pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll read off the agenda as it was posted on the town website and published out here in front of the town office. Our agenda for August 15th is as follows. Number 1, Marie's Muse LLC site plan and minor subdivision. Applicant seeks minor subdivision approval and site plan approval to construct a drive-through restaurant and retail business on the eastern portion of the site and a second drive-through restaurant on the western portion of the site at 727 and 737 through 737 Brunswick Road and 4 Mohawk Avenue. Marie's Muse LLC is the applicant. Number 2 will be Brunswick Acres major subdivision. Applicant proposes a major subdivision with regard to the Brunswick Acres Planned Development District on approximately 44 acres of land located along the north side of Brunswick Road, New York State Route 2, just west of Heather Ridge Road. Brunswick Road Development LLC is the applicant. Number 3 is Riser waiver of subdivision. Applicant seeks a lot line adjustment for property located at 25 Penny Royal Lane. Henry Riser, the applicant. Number 4 is Haas site plan. Applicant seeks to construct metal buildings for self-storage on property along New York State Route 7 and Carrollsville Road. Jason Haas is the applicant. And number 5 is Sole Source Power site plan, which I understand is tabled unless someone is here. So we'll move on to the meeting minutes from our August 1st meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review those meeting minutes? And are there any corrections, additions, deletions?
I make a motion to accept the minute.
Do I have a second?
No, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting minutes are approved as noted. First on the agenda is Marie's Muse site plan and minor subdivision.
How are you?
Good evening, Tim with Bowl Engineering.
All good to know.
Doing good. How are you?
Have you made any changes to the plan?
Sure. I can give a brief update. So since we were here last month, where we walked through the board bringing everybody back up to speed, we were here in December of 2023, and then it took a while to go through some DOT coordination. So we were here last month providing a full-scale update on the project, looking to progress the project further. At last month's meeting, we really concluded the work session with a focus on 2 remaining items, traffic and stormwater. We talked through the secret process and next steps with a public hearing. We determined that secret really needs to be completed before we can move forward to the next step of setting the public hearing, because there is a subdivision involved as part of this project. So what we're tackling now is really secret. So since we were last here, we've been coordinating both with the town and New York State DOT. At the end of last month, Wayne had issued an email memorandum accepting the findings of the traffic study, the correspondence from DOT that was all provided, and your third party's engineer, McMahon, who reviewed the traffic study, accepting all that materials and providing us with feedback that we can go ahead and move forward with the full traffic signal and mitigation plan design. So that's the next phase as the traffic improvements to Brunswick and McChesney are pursued. That whole process will keep the town involved. That whole process goes through the highway work permit process with New York State DOT. That'll probably take place over the next 6 to 8 months. Separately, we responded to the outstanding stormwater management comments from Wayne's office. Earlier today, we received a response back with some additional comments that we'll continue to work through and chip off the comments as they come in. And I'll let him do a brief overview of his comments. But overall, as we look at secret and try to check off those items, that's the next step. We're here, I think, as an open dialogue tonight. William's probably going to talk more than I am tonight, just kind of going through that and next steps there. But I'm certainly available for any additional questions as it relates to the site plan or the project itself. But wholly, it's the same as it was presented last month.
William, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Started going through the secret record, looking at each of the items identified in part 2 of the full environmental assessment form. There remains 2 items that I feel we need additional information before determination can be made on the impacts of those 2 items. One is stormwater. We did receive the updated stormwater report. I think it was August 1st, around there, end of July. And we did have a chance to review it. I got back comments from my stormwater engineer today. And there still are some items that we feel need to be addressed before we can determine the full impact of stormwater on the site. There were also some comments made by Bill Bradley, the stormwater coordinator, on the stormwater design. That also need to kind of be adequately addressed before we continue with the review. One item was the fact that the drainage area stopped at the property line. We feel that we need to include the area north of the property in your calculations in order to adequately determine the amount of runoff for the site. And that was one of our comments in our response. There still seems to be some question as to what the water table is there. Looking at the test pits, there's no information on where the water table is in the test pits. There was no description of whether or not there was modeling in the in the soil. Bill Bradley brought up the comment that there are some areas that are going to have a significant cut, and based on the test pits, we're not going deep enough to really determine where ledge rock is, where the water table is, and whether even areas that show good infiltration, whether we have enough information to determine that the water table is low enough where you can use infiltration for a treatment area, treatment storage area. Those were the significant comments that we had. Some were pretty straightforward. We have not submitted a slip today. not even a draft SWIP. We'd like to see a SWIP before we continue our review and determination of impact. I don't think that is an unreasonable request to actually get full SWIP. We don't necessarily need to see like final numbers and final design, but you need to see where you're headed with this. Because there are a lot of, and you admitted that it's a difficult site, and I really think that there has to be more investigation, more information provided on the stormwater.
Yeah, if I could just add a couple comments there with the stormwater. So, very difficult site. We've got the topography that raises in the back and continues on to your point behind us for the hillside of the vacant grass property back there. We've got groundwater in certain locations. We've got bedrock in certain locations. But we also have 7 buildings on this property. 7 buildings with utilities. It's all been disturbed before. We've been out there twice now doing test pits. We made the town aware one time. The town officials were out there, met us out there towards the end of the day while we were finishing the one test pit in the corner. But where the 12-foot cut is, it's next to a residential house. You can't dig 12 feet down next to a residential house. So there are certain areas on the property that are inaccessible right now that I agree that we will need to have a better understanding of what's around those foundations and what's coming out when this new stuff is going in. Timing is the difficult piece of this. So this additional investigation, you're asking the applicant to spend another $40,000, $50,000 of studies, test pits, contractors out there to really do this assessment and refine the screening plan to construction level. And we still have a full secret process to go through. We still have area variances to obtain. We still have site plan approval to obtain. This project isn't real yet. So we're trying to balance a level of information up front that makes it comfortable to say, yeah, we can figure this out. It's not going to be a significant impact. From a secret perspective, it's not going to be a significant impact to DOT's drainage. But the question I just have is, do we really need to get to that finite detail of construction level, that this is the exact pipe, this is the exact size of the pipe that's going in this exact spot? Or is it an understanding of, okay, enough information was provided to say, we're going to be able to figure this out, it's not going to be a significant impact, and then ahead of building permit, when we do the demolition of these buildings, we get out there with the excavators, find out where groundwater is, find out where the rock elevation finally is. So it's a balancing act. That's why we submitted what we have to date. But if the final determination is, nope, sorry, we understand it, but we really need to get that level in order to proceed, so be it. That's, I guess, the decision we need to make. And that sounds like it's your recommendation. I would just open that up to the board too, to maybe discuss and see if we do need to take that deeper dive at that level to move this forward.
Well, in my opinion, you need to have an answer to whether the stormwater can be managed on site and have a discharge point. And as I recall at the last meeting, there was an indication that there was not an agreement with DOT about the discharge point. Or if there isn't a discharge point, that the site's capable of infiltrating everything, which we pretty much assume it's not. So I think, to move forward with a secret determination, stormwater is one of those major factors. We at least need to have some calculations and plan forward that shows us that it's achievable. Whether or not the entire infiltration system and chambers is designed right now, that's up to Wayne. But we certainly are due an answer whether or not it's achievable.
Yeah, and I feel we substantially provided that information to say it's achievable, that we're going to be able to meet the requirements of storm quality and quantity wise. That upside hill slope, it's not in our existing model, so it's not in our proposed. If we need to model that uphill slope, we're gonna add it to the existing base model that's gonna increase the flows of the base target. Then we're adding it in our proposed conditions. It's gonna be a similar net result of an increase of discharge up to the design point. The difference being, to the point of the comment, is we've got a bypass swale and drainage pipe here. So our Lynn's office wants to confirm that that bypass pipe is sized appropriately for the offsite discharge. So that makes sense. But that's just the difference between the level of detail I'm talking about of, okay, we know some bypass systems needed, we really need to have the specific size of that pipe at this time. And maybe we do, maybe that's the end result, and we'll provide that information.
What I suggest is that the applicant's engineer and my office have a meeting or discussion on how we can resolve these question marks. So that maybe Tim, the stormwater designer, I don't know if you're doing it, or someone in your offices, together with the engineer in my office, we're doing the stormwater, and discuss.
Appreciate that. We could bring that into the conversation as needed and see if we can find some appropriate comfort level to say the system's gonna work, but we just need to figure out some final details as.
And there's also other ways to investigate subsurface conditions besides digging test pits. You can do borings. You can get pretty close to a building.
You can, but you can't get a truck in these backyards. That's not a difficult thing to do.
But you could do it on pavement, you could do it on your driveways.
Well, the request, we have test pits all over this site. But here we did a test pit, we got bedrock at 4 feet. Here we did a test pit, we got bedrock at 12 feet. It varies so much. So what they're asking for is additional testing that, okay, we've got a boring here, bedrock at 4 feet. We've got some type of system here. Let's figure out where the bedrock is right there, which makes sense, right? Where we're putting the system. So it's troubleshooting. It's a little back and forth of, okay, we got the information on the site. We knew it didn't work here, so we're trying here. It's a little back and forth. So we do have a general idea, just not that specific level. It sounds like we'll do a little bit more investigation and work with Lynn's office on getting to a comfort level with stormwater.
Yeah, I think the water table elevation is also kind of critical. When you were out there digging test pits, Bill said that those holes filled right up the water.
Yeah, not ours. I was standing right here when we went that deep and there wasn't any water. And then I know Bill shared when they were doing a disconnect for one of the gas services here, the hole did fill up with water. So again, there's 7 properties, 7 houses, 7 foundations, 7 basements that were built here. So I'm sure there's different soil strata along all those foundations that in some areas you got clay and water can infiltrate, in other areas you don't. But if you all recall, there's actually a depressed grass area right here, and that's where we did one of the tests, and we didn't observe any groundwater. I think that's where a lot of the infiltration is happening today, because it is acting somewhat as a basin. It's just always dry, and we looked at it after a heavy rainfall event, and it is infiltrating in this area today, and that's where we're proposing one of our systems here in that lower area to have in existing conditions.
Wayne, you brought up another 2 parts to your additional information request. One was stormwater.
The other is traffic. Surprise. I went through the record for the amount of work that went into the traffic impact study. Bowler hired the applicant hired a traffic engineer to put the study together. That was submitted June of last year. We hired Creighton Manning as the traffic expert to review the traffic study. They came back with comments in August of 2023. The traffic impact study was revised, resubmitted. Creighton Manning had more comments late last year in December. There was a meeting that was held on February 28th between all the stakeholders as far as infrastructure and transportation are concerned. DOT was there, County Highway, the traffic engineer who put the study together, Creighton Manning was there, I was there, and other town folks were there at that meeting. Which actually was a very helpful meeting. It kind of put a lot of stuff on the table. We kind of went through signal timing, coordination of signals to perhaps mitigate some of the issues. That signal has to change if they're going to put a fourth leg on it. How does the timing change on that? How does that impact signals downstream? We came up with some mitigation measures. One was to add a right turn, it's a right straight turn lane on McChesney, a dedicated left turn, and then change the opposite side coming out of proposed site as a dedicated right turn. I forget. However, we ended up, it actually helped the level of service on the McChesney end.
We went right.
Yeah. Which we were good with. We took a look at the changes in level of service on the main line. Doesn't really change that much, honestly, and projected traffic to Route 7 anticipated, accounting for some pass-by traffic in those counts. One thing that we really haven't dived into are the short-term impacts of traffic on this proposal. We all know, based on other similar sites that opened in the last couple of years, that for some amount of time, the traffic can get heavy. We'll call it the first opening of the site, and newness of it, how people will want to go and I'll say, give them a chicken sandwich. What we also don't talk about is what the other portions of the site that will also have traffic generators. Now, it's my understanding that this is going to be a one-phase build-out, that you're going to develop the site and build all the buildings in one phase. Is that correct?
That's the way it's lining up to look right now, but there's no way we could guarantee that. Just the way leases and build outs and responsibilities come together. Construction may take longer on on a larger building than some of these. So it could, if we need to proceed with the understanding that it could buffer openings. No, I'm not going to open on the same day.
So what I would suggest to the board is that we get a better understanding of what the short-term impacts are before we make a secret determination. I would request a detailed plan that clearly outlines how traffic will be managed on the first opening of the site. Maybe with some real data, the anticipated traffic associated with the opening and operation of 2 restaurants at this site for a given amount of time. Around 3 months. We have to take into consideration what the short-term impacts are on traffic in order for the board to make a secret determination.
Sure, so a little background on what we call the grand opening period. And Chick-fil-A's, I'm not sure if that's on. Chick-fil-A is well aware that their openings draw attraction. Everybody's excited to go to the store for a grand opening. And, I didn't want what I said earlier on the record anyway. Chick-fil-A acknowledges and recognizes that there is a short-term impact when they open a store. Everybody's excited to go in and try out something new and get the experience. So they have a grand opening team. I think one of our initial submissions has a summary of this grand opening team. So a grand opening team, they fly in, they stay here for 2-4 weeks as needed. They're extra hands-on the site to help with traffic circulation, but most importantly, training. You've got all new staff, right? All new team members that need to be trained, brought up to speed, because day one is go. Day one is busy. So the hardest part about that is having a new, inexperienced team to try to take that on. So they acknowledge and they bring in a team of 20, 30 folks, their grand opening team, and their responsibility is to travel the country and go to the grand openings and help support. What they typically see is that transition over 2 weeks.
I'm sorry, say it again, what they typically see is what?
They typically see is they'll transition that over 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yep, so day one, we'll all be there, and then usually 2 weeks, those folks will leave the area because they're no longer needed. Some will stay 3-4 weeks as needed, so maybe it's not the 20 and 30 to start, maybe it's 5 to stay a little bit longer. But the grand opening period is usually around 2 weeks. They will partner with local police department. They'll hire off-duty traffic control or off-duty cops to help them be stationed either off-site at the intersection or driveways, or both on-site at the drive-through entrance, trying to pull cars and vehicles through. What we've done in other municipalities, similar to Wayne's suggestion, is created just like a circulation plan, and we've shown on a drawing where police can be stationed to help direct traffic. You know, here I would recommend having one right at the signalized intersection for those 2 weeks. And it's usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those are the busy times. We found that they haven't been needed the other days, but if they are, then we certainly want to deploy that again. And we can pull together a narrative that kind of explains this and shows their commitment to this. That could be part of the file for the record. And then we also have all seen North Greenbush and Clifton Park now. We're going to see Central Ave and Golden Ave in the city of Albany. We're going to see that this fall for an opening. So this is going to be potentially store number 4, if not 5, to the market. So we know it can't be worse than those, right? So we've learned a lot. We're all smarter than that. 4th, 5th to market. We're going to start dying down of that original excitement. Smaller market, some folks have already experienced this. But we can certainly provide a little report and narrative with some exhibits showing circulation
Yeah, like-
to that.
Yeah, with some specifics, you know. the Town of Brunswick doesn't have a police force, so what local policing can see they can use. I know sheriff's department, I don't know if they have enough
Yeah.
staff to do it.
For Clifton Park, they hired a local security, EQs, Chick-fil-A. So they'd be responsible to pay for that. They hired a local security detail to support this. Again, a local police enforcement going to have capacity. So there are some other options.
So those are the kind of specifics that I'm kind of looking for. You know, like a real plan, this is what you're gonna do. Maybe not
Yeah,
more theoretical, but more action.
we can put together something that could work. I will just caveat that it's always going to be preliminary because depending on what's going on in the area, what season, what time of year, who's available, it could change. This portion of Brunswick Street could be under construction. Who knows what's going to happen? So it's definitely going to be a working document, but we can certainly get something comfortable. Like, okay, here's a plan. Yes, we acknowledge that it might change based on the actual go date, but it certainly gives us a good idea.
Any of the planning board members have any comments or questions for the applicant's representative? I will note for the record that the planning board did receive a letter dated August 12th from Sue Vitons, 10 Miller Road, Lionsville, New York, which is entered into the record.
Can we get a copy of that?
Give this one to you.
Oh, okay. If that's your original email, would be great. Okay.
So, based on the comments you heard tonight, do you think you would be, our next scheduled meeting is September 5th? Would you like to be placed on that agenda?
What do you think, Wayne? Would certainly be fun. This seems like we might want to push one more meeting.
You could make it tentative, depending on how the discussions go.
And then a week before
What
we
your ability to get some of that information that is readily available to us. We don't think you can get it within a couple of weeks, then we can push it to the next one.
Okay, so we'll hold that tentative for now. Is there any other sections of the part two that make sense to go through now? To kind of check off some other items and really focus down on the two, or we're already there? It's stormwater and traffic.
There are other impacts that didn't rise to the level of potentially moderate to large impacts. They're all none to small, in my opinion. The whole record has to be gone over with the board, so we're comfortable with it. But once I get all the information adequately to determine environmental impact, then we'll go over all of the items, but I don't see any that rise to the level of those two.
And then moving us to a formal action, is it, I'm not sure how you guys handle it, is it a board decision to authorize and to prepare a draft, or is it already prepared at the next meeting to just act on it that evening?
So on this project, what I would suggest to the board is we allow Wayne to review what is a draft part 2 and 3, make sure that the board understands that, has the ability to ask Wayne any questions, any amendments, and then direct that a formal seeker resolution be prepared based on that discussion.
So at that meeting, I would authorize a draft to be prepared, and the draft, the applicant would have an opportunity to review that ahead of time.
Up to the planning board on that, if they're comfortable. It'll be their draft resolution. Certainly would be reviewed in open session at the planning board. I know the board's past practice is to welcome comments from the applicant during the review of the resolution. Even if there's amendments made to the resolution, it's done at that meeting. That's been their past practice.
Paul's asked me twice, so he's gonna ask again, so I just wanted to ask.
And he's been very good on other projects where we're in reverse
Yeah.
positions, and he's the board, and I have the applicant, we have shared resolutions. I'll take that under advisement with the board.
Yeah, sure, thanks. Well, I appreciate the dialogue. Thank you for having us here tonight. We look forward to meeting and working through that together, and we'll see you next month.
So we're,
One of the things that I think that the board has, in a general sense, discussed in the past, didn't come up tonight, probably a good thing to take a look at on what Wayne asked in terms of the short-term traffic impacts during the opening period. And the other question was, is it single phase or phased build out? If there's an opportunity for a phased build out and part of the site could be used for traffic queuing to get that off the Brunswick code, if that's an alternative option to take a look at, it might be a good idea. Watch that for part of the record.
and that phasing could be opening stores or, so I think there's a phasing clause in the secret document, but that's more about phasing of construction.
And permitting and review. So the whole project's being reviewed as one project, so from a secret segregation issue, that I think that's.
You could build out the site from that.
Open. In a perfect world, let's have all this parking available and this conveyance available for when they open. In a perfect world.
Yeah, and you can direct people directly to the right, and they can go all the way around.
Love it. I hope it can work out that way. In a perfect world. But there's a lot that goes into leases and construction, so.
That's true, it's two separate
We'll
parts.
see what we do.
So,
But team members and employees, when they do open, they're not gonna park on site. They'll be busted in. We'll explain more of that in the video.
Park at home.
What's that?
Park at home.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Tim, I put the letter right there for you.
Perfect, thank you.
Next on the agenda is Brunswick Acres major subdivision. Applicant proposes a major subdivision with regard to Brunswick Acre land development district on approximately 44 acres. Land located along the north side of Brunswick Road, just west of Kettle Ridge Road, Brunswick Road Development LLC is the applicant.
There you go. Okay. Good evening, everybody. For the last meeting, and Andy could probably speak to this better than I, but the board requested that we put together a draft resolution granting conditional approval to the proposed subdivision. I believe the board received a copy of that. And I did go through this together in terms of conditions. And you want to explain this one, or do you want me to walk through it?
I'll start with the quick, I'll call it Reader's Digest version, and then you can go through the technical stuff if you could. So the board will recall this project had previously received conditional final subdivision approval. Due to the lapse of time, that approval did expire. The approach on the prior approval was the Brunswick County Health Department at that time was requiring the site to be graded to propose construction level grades and then do perk tests to determine septic system approvals. And so the board handled that through a conditional final that foresaw some limited site grading work prior to the plat being stamped and signed, because the health department had not yet approved the septic plans for all lots. So there were conditions in the original approval that addressed that condition in terms of inspection escrows, performance bonds, things of that nature. The current application, the health department has indicated to the applicant that it will in fact move forward and approve septic designs, even with current grades. So in light of that, there have been some modifications to the conditions to remove some of the inspection escrows and bond requirements, and Ron will step through that briefly. The concept here is, while there are several conditions attached, there'll be no site work now until all the conditions are satisfied, so that the plat can be stamped and signed, filed in the county clerk's office as in a traditional project, a traditional subdivision, and then the work can commence. The issue of the health department approval, which was the conundrum on the original approval, is no longer an issue. I think it's properly viewed as conventional subdivision with health department approval based on current conditions. So with that, you can step through.
Okay, sure. So beginning on page 2 is where the conditions are, start. And a lot of these are kind of administrative as well, basically. And I should say these are almost nearly identical to the original approval. Really the biggest exception is for the inspection for site grading and all the bonds, guarantees for that. So that part is approved. But essentially everything else is the same. I can walk through every one of them if you like, or just address questions. It's something after the board.
What would the board like to do? Do you want to step through each one, or give a general overview?
General overview is fine.
Okay. So I'll just kind of go through them all quickly. So the first condition is that basically all the requirements of the town PDE need to be dealt with. Let's see. There is escrow requirement, like a typical subdivision, bond guarantees and inspection guarantees. 3, all the site grading has to be done in compliance with the Brunswick PDD site plan. And but the important part of this is the slope stability and the Cody Park. We have that deep fill. That's really good for that. And then 4 piggybacks onto that, where this is specific to the fill area, that the geotechnical engineering requirements, the reporting requirements back to the town and the whoever's out, the community out there too. So those reporting requirements to make sure that that fill gets placed already, the geotechnical reporting district. Compliance with all the requirements is number 5. Standard. And let's see. And then this also, we actually added, I'm thinking of the wrong report. So that was 5. 6 is DOT approval. We need a highway work permit for the driveway. Health department approval for septic system, health department approval for the water system. Those have yet to be, those the water district obviously has to be approved by the town board. Final, subject 9 is just subject to final comments from the TDE and of course the water department. Same with any final comments regarding the erosion sediment control plan and slip. No further, number 11, no further subdivision of the lots, because some of them are big, but they're all pretty narrow. I mean, you can see how you can do it, but just in case. So there'll be no more than 24 lots. driveway pitches, this is basically, it's 12, that's the town code. So any deviation from that basically has to be approved by the town. Easements, if you remember, easement was a big issue last time, and so they do need to acquire an easement for utilities over the land of the garage, and National Grid in recordable form, so that they can then be turned over to the town when the project is completed and followed appropriately. And the same is true for utilities and drainage over the lands and Vino. Hope I'm saying it correctly. For, again, for utilities and there, that's down by the drainage goes out to the roof of the, and then last but not least, subject to any comments that the town review engineer gave in their August 1st letter, which we were talking about at the last meeting. Basically identical with some abbreviations.
Anyone from the board have any questions?
You put the $500 lot thing in there.
Parks and Rec.
Let's confirm.
Oh, Part B? Or
So-
Part B.
Parks and Rec.
So the way this is set up is the first condition for the planning board proposed approval is incorporating all of the conditions of the town board on their PDD approval. We've attached that as an exhibit, so it's a self-contained document. And I'll confirm, but that, Dave, is let's check again. I know it's in there. Let's confirm. Yes, it's town board condition 16, the $500 per lot park and rec fee. And that will need to be paid before the plat is stamped and signed.
So I have a question. This, the town is working on extending the PDD, correct? Town board?
I can confirm the town board did approve the one-year extension of the PDD approval, so that's in place.
So that one-year extension is from what date?
From there, it's extended, August, I believe 18th. That was when the PDD was set to expire. It was a one-year extension, so it's through August 18th of 25. The Brunswick zoning law, though, only requires that construction be commenced within that period, not completed.
And there's no completion date for the embankment portion of it?
There's no specific count. For them to meet the grades out, to build that road and everything, basically all have to be done.
Right. I'm just concerned, I want them not to rush, to beat the cold weather to try and work on the embankment portion of it. We don't want to get involved with the embankment cold weather. So we want to get, we don't want
Yeah,
to
but
rush.
there's no specific.
Right. That's one question.
And on that, Kevin, you can confirm that that does need to be done with on-site inspection by the town, and I think for some of that, don't they need a geotechnical?
Correct, right, that's one of the
On-site,
conditions.
so that's going to be monitored.
Yeah, I was more concerned about weather, because cold weather embankment is very difficult to do, as we all know. We don't have to have, I don't want to be rushed through that part.
That has to work.
Have to suffer because of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all.
Who hires the geotechnical?
That's the applicant that hires that, but the town has their own construction engineer inspector.
So the condition just says that the applicant it's an applicant's cost expense. And so if the town would want to hire that.
We can take a look at that, Kevin. Whether it's retained by the applicant at its expense with coordination with the town, or the town retains at the applicant's expense,
Yeah.
that can get worked out. There will be a geotechnical engineer on site for that.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, great work.
Now, our last meeting, we were going to confirm that the seeker was sufficient from the PDD.
That's correct. So we've included within one of the recital clauses that because, based on the review of the record, the project, there's been no substantial change, that the existing secret determination remains in place. And the town board did serve as lead agency for the action. That was added to the resolution.
Are there any other questions or concerns? Do you want to take a roll call vote?
Right, so this is set up as a resolution. If the board is prepared to move forward, someone would offer this, second it, and there would be a roll call vote.
We'll make the motion.
All those in favor?
Well, I'll run,
Yes.
it'll be a roll call. Chairman Oster is absent. Member Vanello?
Aye.
Member Krieger?
Aye.
Member Peterson is absent. Member Henderson?
Aye.
Member Tarbox?
Aye.
And acting chair Stanford.
Aye.
So the resolution was adopted. We'll forward that to the applicant and file it in the town clerk's office.
Appreciate it. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is riser waiver of subdivision. Applicant seeks a lot line adjustment for property located at 25 Penrose Lane. Henry Riser is the applicant. You might need a color coded map to understand what's happening now.
Good evening. Ed, we use the. Yeah.
So just while you're getting set up there, my understanding is that this is
Yep.
Not part of the Gray Ledge subdivision, but the remaining lands. Lot 4, 3, 2, and 1. Was Gray Ledge the entire parcel? Oh, yeah? Two and all, right?
Long one now. Okay, so what I have done is, put in two applications, one for a lot line adjustment on lot 1 from Gray Ledge, which is a piece of property right down in front here, that's lot 1 on Pennyroyal Lane, and the driveway here on 351, what we're looking for is to get additional frontage for the project I'm doing here. So this right here is a 5-acre lot and it's gonna be, about an acre and a half smaller now. Actually be the same size as all the other ones. And, so I'll be purchasing this back from Richie Geddes to add, not to make a separate lot or anything for a house, but just to add to the 282 acres that are out now. So it's basically a 300 acre parcel that's left. And just to get that extra frontage right there, I'm gonna do that lot line adjustment. And since And then, you want to just do the lot line adjustment first and then talk about the other application, or does it matter if we talk about it all at once? It's kind of,
I think we need to understand the whole
I
thing
concur.
before we,
yeah. So in order to be able to get frontage, what I wanted to do is get the 300 acre parcel, the lot 12 we dealt with the lot line adjustment back in May. So that lot is, nothing's changing on that. It's got the driveway going down through. I'm adding with the minor subdivision is 3 lots, which is lot number 1, which was right off of Plant Lane, is a driveway coming into a 3.5 acre lot. And we kind of talked about it a little bit when we did the lot line adjustment. I was trying to do that at the same time as the other one, but so we had to come back and do the, as a subdivision. So that's what I'm doing now. So that lot was brought into use actually an existing driveway that's there. And which now would be that 3.5 acres. We've done test holes, it's all gravel, the in-ground system. And secondly, would be lot number 2, which is a 19 acre lot. And this would be a key lot, which is 60-foot right away, would be come right down alongside the other driveway. And this is where we kind of falls into the lot line adjustment from lot number 1. We would need that frontage in order to be able to put that driveway in there. Because the 5 acre lot came right up to the other driveway. And then,
Where's lot 12?
not 12 is the house.
The house is one.
and then thirdly, the third lot would be a 11 acre lot, which would come off of Plant Lane as another key lot. And that would just run in through this way and come up that way. So basically, we got 300 acres. Lot 12 is an 8.5 acre lot now. That's remaining the same, going down through. And what I'm proposing also to add to the mix is this to be a shared driveway rather than doing these long driveways to have minimal impact. What I'm proposing here, they're really, we'll use the existing driveway for the 19 acre lot and the 11 acre lot. And there's already an existing driveway for lot number 1 there now. So there'd be really minimal impact, actually no disturbance at all as far as driveways are concerned. But even though we're using a shared driveway, each lot has frontage, legal frontage on a road. And they do have,
Why is it designated on the map as a permanent easement for lot 2? Isn't it part of lot 2?
it's designated as an easement. It's actually an easement.
The smaller yellow shaded area.
Right,
Says
what this
it's
is
permanent
here.
easement for lot 2 and lot 4.
So the reason that's there is, so if lot 11 is gonna share the driveway, it needs an easement to cross over this driveway, right, this land right here leads up to the remaining land. So lot 11, he builds a house there, even though he could have a driveway going out to the road that way, but chooses to use the shared driveway. The yellow part is the easement for him to cross over the riser remaining lands. So he'd use this and cut across this property right here, and the same goes for right here. If, using the shared driveway going in, would have to cross over lot 2 to be able to get into the remaining lands there. So they're just in place on record, so, the crossover, that the other person's property basically.
I have a question on lot 4. It's got a dividing line through it. It says old lot line. And it's got two owners, it's listing two owners, Jessica Penziger and then Riser Rock Farm LLC.
Yeah, what that was, old lot line was, this was an original 72-acre lot. So that shows the old original 72-acre lot, that dotted line all the way around. And so that was originally a 72-acre lot. And this was remaining land that I personally had. And I have a business now, Riser Rock Farms. So I deeded this property into that. And eventually, the rest of this property will go into Riser Rock Farms too, with the exception of the 3 lots.
So it's one lot, but has two separate owners? I'm confused by that.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
You've got two separate entities, it looks like they own the same lot.
Right, that's true. There's two people on the deed.
Gotcha. So that driveway coming off of lot 4 down to,
Coming right down.
Plant Lane?
No, lot 4 is the remaining of the property, so that has actually 2 accesses to Farm to Market Road. One would be alongside the lot 12's driveway, that's 60 foot, all the way down like that, and comes out to there. And then secondly, it has an access to the back here. All this is the remaining lands and has 200 feet of frontage down there. So that's,
After your lot line adjustment.
that's right, if that goes.
Was prior to this, the existing, that dashed line shows what the existing subdivision is today. Is that true?
And as I was saying, is, the way that this is laid out, don't really plan on, I wanted to turn this into a tree farm. You don't want to hear the name Riser Nut Farm, but all this land will eventually be in the one entity with the exception of the lots. And the only disturbance, if we could use this shared driveway for all these, is just the 2 lots here, building, what typically it takes to build the house. There's test holes done on lot 3 also. That's in the process at the health department.
So we got 4 lots. Is that a major?
Well, it's 3 lots, and the 4th lot, we call it lot 4, but it's remaining land, so that's already a lot, really. Right now, it has the house and then that existing remaining lands. So we're really proposing 3 new lots. One, 2, and 3.
As I sit here, I don't know the answer to that question. This is a very confusing plan. I like your explanation, but probably needs time for Wayne to review it and the board members to review it, and then we'll figure out regulatory-wise what we need to do.
And like I was, just saying, it's very minimal site work to be done because of the way that we're proposing it. Not even sure when, if we'd ever build on these 2 lots here. I just wanted to get them separated. And I'd like to also give you a copy of a couple things. I don't have enough for everybody, but
So you own lot one at Great Lakes?
No. I'm gonna be purchasing the part that is gonna be divided up
Gotcha.
on that. What I have is just a copy of the road maintenance agreement. It's what it reads on so far, just you have a copy. That's what we've used for the maintenance agreement. Just one other thing, when Rod and I were laying this out and trying the best way to be able to do this, you know, in the town main plan, it says wherever feasible, you know, to try and develop shared driveways, egress, ingress, and parking areas of increase, and wherever possible. So it's in the main plan to try and do it, if possible. And it just makes more sense to use that driveway for the amount of traffic or anything. There'd be no town won't be responsible for it at all, as you see in that agreement.
Perhaps I missed it, but one of the things I don't see is the letters from the owners of those other lots saying that you can act on their behalf, so.
Okay, I didn't know I needed, but I will get letters from,
So,
because I'm on the deed, actually, there's three people on the deed. It's Susan, Henry, and Jessica. So my name is on all the deeds also, but
in lot one,
yeah, this for
There's
the
an
lot line
email.
adjustment.
It says it gives Henry permission for the lot adjustment of lot one. From HRG properties.
They just need, I'm gonna get the two from Jessica and Susan. I know it looks confusing, you know, trying to get 300 acres on one map, kind of shrinks everything down a little bit. Is there any other questions at this point?
So lot one is 3.38 acres with just that wedge-shaped lot.
Yes.
What's the frontage on that one? This lot? Right? Couple hundred feet.
Yeah, it's at least, let's see, C4 is 211 feet. On that one. Now, 3.5 acre lot on this looks small because comparing it to 300 acres.
So that lot has frontage on plant plane, not on 351.
Right. It also has an existing driveway that originally, back in the day, there's a green gate there now. You couldn't buy there. So that would be the driveway for that lot. It's in there now. It used to go up to the house at one point years ago.
And who owns the property along Plant Lane? There's an awful lot of property on either side of Plant Lane. Is that privately owned or is that?
Yeah, I own everything up here except for the lot line adjustment part, and I don't own any of the lots.
But out in front between Plant and Route 351, is that town property or is that privately owned?
Well, between Plant and 351, I believe there's one house up there, and that's they own.
So they own that strip of land?
Yeah, somebody lives on the end of Plant Road.
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
It's,
Is that a road by use or is that a town road? What is that?
the road by use.
Yeah, but on that, you'll recall on that earlier subdivision, needed to be some upgrades to the road, you coordinated with Doug Eddy, some
Right.
drainage improvements.
Yeah. We did everything, we put in the culverts, widened the road actually.
Right.
And, it'll be a total of 10 lots, it's a dead end road. So with the 7 here, plus the one that's there, so 8, and then the Polly has 1 lot there, so 7, 8, 9, and then these two, do 11 lots total on the dead end.
Henry, on lot 3, like the flagpole portion, there's a stream or something that runs across there. Is that,
Yeah, there's a small overflow from the pond up here. It actually travels right down, crosses under the existing driveway, and then runs
over there?
Yeah, there's a culvert in underneath the driveway now existing. And then this runs right out through a culvert under 351.
So you'll have to put something there, if you want to put a driveway there to access the flag on lot 3.
Right, if there was a driveway going to be installed, there would, actually, there's space on the corner. You probably, possibly get in there without putting the culvert in. Instead it looks small here, but that's, 60 feet across, so you could hug the corner and go around it. The worst case scenario, there might have to be a,
Almost looks like you gotta cross it twice.
no, it just swoops back through this way. It goes like this and then goes across these driveways up into here. So it goes like this, so if you hug this corner, you might miss it all together. And in the center, a little bit to the farther end. It's just an overflow, it's not a stream, registered stream or anything like that. The existing culvert going underneath the road that was there, the existing driveway, and the 14-inch culvert.
I'm still confused about that whole lot. That's two different,
No, it's just where,
parcels. That's
Yeah.
two different book and page numbers.
so, yeah, it's actually, because when this was divided, this was the original 72 acres altogether, so then we did the lot line adjustment prior, back in May, we made this into an 8.5 acre lot. So the remainder of that land, 62 acres from the 71, that's what this ended up being. So there's actually a separate deed that was created for that 62 acres in file. So that's why the dotted line is still there. But once this subdivision, if approved, this will be combined with Riser Drive, and so all the vacant land will just be on one.
You'd be merging those
Yeah,
prior 2 lots together and then subdividing out of that. I think you have a clearer picture. Not because it's just the
I think when you get a close look at it, up closer, you can see everything has its frontage and very little disturbance on the property for what we're doing. And actually driving down the road, you never even know we did anything, going down through 51. Other than, no, because actually that driveway's gonna be already there now anyway, the existing driveway.
Only thing that'll change is we can take that gate out of there.
So lot 4 and Great Lot 4 are in one parcel as well. You've got Great Lot 4 and you've got Great Lot 3. What is Great Lot 3?
Yeah, I don't know why surveyor has to keep putting it on there. That was on from way back when, but basically what we have here is just a 140 acre parcel and a 104 acre parcel that were combined. So the Great Lot 4 is just there for reference. It doesn't-
That'd be part of Lot 4.
Yes.
And then Great Lot 3 is not in your property.
Where is Great Lot 3?
On the bottom of the page, right there.
Right, that's not my property.
Gotcha.
I think we gotta digest this.
Any other questions, Will? Mr. Wright? Well, we can put you tentatively on for the 9th of, the 5th of September. And then at that point, maybe we'll have a
I'll have a chance to look.
better idea of what.
Adding Lot 1 to Plant Lane, is that gonna be over your limit? Is that gonna be over the limit for?
There's actually 2 lots in between 351 and Plant Lane.
We'll look at that. I think Henry checked off in count 11. We'll just confirm that. If it's 11, then no. But we'll take a look at that. I'll go over that with you.
I think 12 is allowed, right?
Correct.
They don't have frontage.
Who doesn't?
Holly,
All the one at the end of Plant,
yeah,
they're up.
they're at the end of Winchell's.
Gotcha. So it's just the lots you see.
So one of the things, just for the board's discussion and for your applicant team, I was gonna raise a private road issue, because that's the way I handle that. Actually do a project for a client right now, very, very similar. One of the ways to address this, and it's done many times while it's subdivision, you're gonna be the subdivision owner, you'll own all the lots. You have what's called a private road maintenance and easement, so it's in one document, declaration for the subdivision, and that document is then part and parcel with the subdivision approval. It references the file map, and it becomes in the chain of title of each lot. And it's only signed by you. It's easier, you know, how do you figure out the lot owner in the future? So
Right.
it's in the form of a private road maintenance and easement declaration. Just take a look at that. It's just another form, and I think it's easier for a project like this.
And I do have the description attached to the
Yep.
fact that that's for that.
That, for the easement?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, if the content of this may have it, it's just wordsmithing. And I think that makes sense for this, for people.
We're gonna have to look at the town code for a driveway that long.
Well,
Fire department.
It's, right, you just have to confirm, given the length, that meets the fire code requirements for width and turnoffs and things like that.
And you're welcome, anybody can drive up there, but it's well maintained, it's, 20 foot wide, it's short at the least amount of spot. And there's turnoffs halfway up through, up at the end. And actually, right down here, when you first come in, there's another turnoff there too.
That can get reviewed by Wayne just for fire code compliance.
All right. Submit those letters. And setback or?
Yeah.
Who's gonna use it?
You know, that'd be great. Okay. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Haas site plan applicant seeks to construct metal buildings for self-storage on property located along New York State Route 7 and Carroll's Road. Justin Haas is the applicant.
He's got- he's like,
Thank you. Good evening. Matt Bond with Park Engineering here, presenting for Mr. Haas on the proposed Route 7 self-storage facility. This has been in front of the board a few times. Now we're at the point where there's a full plan set, copies of which we brought with us tonight to the board. Also, we have Wayne submit electronically to the town. So just to give the board an update, general site layout has stayed essentially the same from the prior presentations. You see we've got the proposed site at the southeast corner, Route 7, Carroll's Grove Road, with an entrance off of Carroll's Grove Road. The real only change is actually reducing building footprint, square footage, and putting spacing between the buildings to add smaller end units, 5 by 10 units on the end of the structures. So you'll see the proposed building square footage has actually been reduced from the prior plan. Stormwater management areas have been finalized, the designs have been finalized. So proposing a fire retention basin here and a pocket pond here adjacent to Route 7. Stormwater from this portion of the site will drain into the fire retention area. And this portion of the site will drain into the pocket pond. Because it's an unmanned self-storage facility, really no need for site utilities on the site other than storm drainage. The lighting is going to be solar powered on units as discussed previously, former basin. So there are no water lines, no sewer lines proposed, no gas, anything of that nature at this time. Fencing surrounding the site as discussed at the zoning board. We did obtain zoning board variances for the front setback and the rear setback, which are noted in the site data chart here. One of the things we discussed at the last meeting was just highlighting some of the conditions of the zoning board's approval. So, Andrew, I think you had mentioned that. Would you like me to go through that list real quick?
Could you hold just 1 minute? I think the plans didn't get distributed yet.
Sorry. Yes. Thanks. Yeah, there's also a copy of the plans. There's should be 10 copies of everything here, and including the minutes from the zoning board the night that we obtained that variance. So everyone can read along and look at page 6 on that of the conditions of that.
Just give us a minute.
Absolutely.
Give it there.
Andy, do you need a copy?
Everybody have a quick digest of the advertisement, maybe for the list of zoning board.
That's And on page 6, the small handout there. We start with item 1, solar downlighting to be placed 8 feet high in the buildings, for the applicant's submission. Number 2 is deer-resistant tree planting must be installed consistent with option 2, 4 to 6 feet apart on the applicant's submission. Number 3, color of the buildings must be consistent with option 2, brown/bronze, on page 4 of the applicant's submission, and that the roof color must match the rest of the building. Number 4, chain link fencing installed per the site plan in a black or dark color. Number 5, in the event the planning board review this project changes the site plan layout in a way that results in an increase to the size of the front and or rear setbacks as approved, the applicant must apply to the zoning board for amendment to the variances. Number 6, landscaping must be installed consistent with the applicant's landscaping plan, and the trees must be planted in front of the fence along New York State Route 7 in the area of the setback variance. Number 7, hours of operation limited to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Number 8, landscaping at the entrance to the site on Carroll's Grove Road must be installed consistent with the applicant's submission. Just want to make sure that was in here for the record of the board, so you're aware of everything that's on this plan, meeting these requirements. We've got the plantings along Route 7. Those are going to be deer-resistant evergreen screening with the proposed fencing behind it to just provide screening. That's the area that's the setback variance. So again, zoning, this is in the business-like overlay district as well.
Is the lighting security lighting, or is it like motion sensitive? Is it on all the time, the light?
No, it's will be motion sensitive. Thanks. Yeah, downward facing.
And the item 2, tree planting, option 2, 4 to 6 feet apart.
Yes, that was, they provided a couple options for the planting layout. That was evergreen in a line, 4 to 6 feet apart. So I believe the other option was a staggered or a zigzag pattern. And the zoning board said it would be a straight line.
Okay. And I guess I'm not clear on 4 to 6 feet apart, because based on the scale of this map, it looks like they're 30 feet on center, but there may be 2 to 4 feet between them, so.
Oh, yeah, it'll be, we'll revise that note then to say 4 to 6 feet on center.
That's a lot more trees.
It is.
Okay. Was that the intention of the zoning board? I guess we should confirm that.
Did you hand up to the planning board what had been submitted to the zoning board in terms of the options so they could see what option 2 looked like?
No, I did not.
Yes, you could grab that and provide it and give some context for that.
The landscape architect.
And then, like a color section of the building.
Absolutely.
There were color photos submitted to the zoning board, and you can provide that too.
Are the tree planting on the same elevation as the buildings, or are they down slope from that?
They will be, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out the pictures. So the tree plantings, so they're gonna be along Route 7. The grade line there is about a 97 to 98 elevation. And that nearest building is probably gonna be somewhere in the ballpark of a 105, 106. So they're gonna be a little bit lower than
8 feet lower? You put an 8-foot tree in there, you're going to right over the top of it for a while. Are we worried about the people behind, what they're gonna have to look at? I know there's a field there.
So there's gonna be a, to kind of balance the site, there's gonna be a retaining wall here. So this site, as you can picture, if you're driving into the site, on the left side, and you're cutting down grade, on the right side, leveling it off to,
They're gonna have a retaining wall?
yes, yep, so we got a retaining wall shown here
How tall is that?
on the south side. It's probably in the ballpark of 5-6 feet.
5-6 feet?
Yeah.
Then block the view of that, most of those buildings.
Yes, yeah.
What overhead utilities for those planters?
There are, coming along, your utility pole on the corner here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so probably restricts how tall we're growing.
Are you gonna remove material from the site?
Pardon?
If you're gonna have a 5 or 6 foot retaining wall in the back, are you gonna take product off of the site?
No, the intent is to balance the site. So, we did quite a bit with the grades, to try to balance it to the best amount practical. Because quite a bit of material is gonna be used to raise up down this area. So here's gonna be probably a 6 foot or so fill, and also shade the detention basins.
Oh, those plans are right on the property line?
Yeah, they'll be just off the property line.
And that'll be the entrance to the facility is gonna be gated, locked.
Yeah, it's gonna be an electric gate. So you'll have to, be code access to get into the facility, if you punch in your access code.
So that's
So there is power there.
Yeah, there'll be power, the only power really will be for the gate itself. And the customer access, unit.
What light inside you? No lights inside?
No close.
It says that there's pressure run for the paved, the future paved area. Is there an anticipated time frame when, because you got catch basins shown, so I'm not sure how that all functions.
Yep, yeah, so, probably he's estimating for the first 2 or 3 years, it would be a pressure on surface. Ideally sooner, if you switch the pavement, it just makes plowing worlds easier. You won't have to be tuning up as drive lanes every spring.
So, I'm sorry, so you showed catch basins on the plan. Will they be graded to the elevation of the pressure run, or will the pressure run come out to be paved? Has that been considered?
Yeah, so they would bring the pressure run right to the rim of the catch basin, so it would drain into them. And when the time came to pave, they would shave that material down to a required amount of paving depth and pave to the rims.
I just received the slip, so we'll take so we'll do the slip from back to that.
Thank you.
Are we doing a public hearing on this? Or?
That's at the board's discretion. I do, may stand corrected. This is a site plan and special use permit. So yes, public hearing will be mandatory on the special use permit.
Are we ready for one? Or?
I think the plans are complete enough.
I got 3 weeks to the next meeting. So we can do it if the applicant wanted to.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
So we'll schedule a public hearing for Does anyone else have any comments or questions?
We do have color renderings of this.
Yes, yeah, we'll bring, we'll submit to the board, pictures that were, I believe there's also, building plan design, so you can do kind of the color, maybe an elevation, you can show you the colors as well, so you'll see. But it'll be the colors as required, by the zoning board commission's approval there.
And that fence is gonna be behind the retaining wall, correct? Looks like it on the prints.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so, on the top of the fence, it's a chain link fencing is all for the site plan. Now, I don't know, the applicant was looking at potentially, what's the aluminum, iron bars, the ornate fencing, 6 foot high, I believe. I don't know if that is something, maybe you can answer this, if that's too much of a transition from the zoning board approval to have a more ornate fence as opposed to the chain link fence on that item 4 condition.
We'll have to review that.
Okay, sounds good. But yes, it'll be behind that retaining wall.
Did you all draft the plans here?
For the fence, no, we can handle that.
So it'll be on top of it.
Set back a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit closer to the property line.
Is the retaining wall required?
The location is,
The construction of it.
no, that's to, be designed by a PE or an RA.
So that'll be small building coming.
Next meeting is what, September 5?
So, yeah, as long as I think it was 3 weeks,
What was that date, I'm sorry?
September 5th. Anybody object to that? Okay, so we will set public hearing for September 5th to commence at 7 PM with notifications going to all adjacent owners. And you will submit the items we discussed tonight, photos, building plans, et cetera, prior to our meeting. And Wayne will have a chance for you to slip.
Now this, I'm not sure it has gone, site plan to the county. It will need to go to the county. I know it went with the zoning.
Oh, I don't know if it's gone. But,
I think it was voted for the zoning board variances, but we'll have to confirm that the county recommendation covered it may have, Mike, but just confirm that. Okay.
Did the plans during the zoning board go to the fire department?
The applicant had a different consultant for that, so I can
If not, the same as also go to the fire department.
Okay.
Oh, you
I think
have,
this might be Center Brunswick.
Yeah, I believe they did.
There's one that's over.
That way.
I think Mike's correct. I do think they were referred to the fire department, but we can check.
Because they have the knock box on.
okay, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, can we touch base with you on that tomorrow?
Yeah,
Okay. Great, thank you very much. Appreciate your time tonight.
The next item on the agenda is tabled, that was sole source power site plan for community solar at 61 through 63 Gypsy Road. So we will Put them on for the 5th tentatively. And then we have, I think, one item of new business.
Let me back up for a minute. Have they requested that tonight's appearance be put off for the 5th? Have they
Well, they-
communicated with us?
They
at all?
did communicate with the town office. My communication with Wendy today, she indicated that they had something come up, personal matter, and that they couldn't attend tonight. We'll put them on tentatively for the 5th, and they may be tabled again. They owe us some documentation, so. On the item of new business, we have Krieger Lane. That is just for discussion amongst the board. We just received this. You'll recall this subdivision came to us a while back. This is Krieger Lane off Clockrow Road. This is, I believe it was Whitbeck's property.
He combined two lots now. He wants to put them back to the two lots they originally were.
So one person bought lot 1 and 2,
Mhm.
combined them into one lot.
Yeah.
Filed a deed with the county.
Yeah.
And now they want to
Put it back to
go
two.
back to the 2 lots. So this was previously approved, I believe, a 4-lot subdivision. I don't know if you guys recall, there's a lot on the other side of Krieger Lane. And then the Whitbeck house is farther to the east.
This is, variance.
Oh, boy. So the subdivision, 4-lot subdivision was approved in 22. Looks like it. On the application form, it says first subdivision plat approved
Yeah.
8/22, so 2 years ago. And now,
It had these 2 lots on it,
correct, and they were merged, and now they want to
unmerged.
divide. And they've applied through a waiver. I don't know the answer to that. Well, it's unusual, right?
Well, if I bought a lot from the subdivision, say a 10-acre lot, from a 10-lot subdivision, and 2 years later, I wanted to give up 2 acres to my daughter, would that be a waiver, or would that be
Within a
the
7-year
11th
period.
lot?
There's some factors that are including the time between the approval. This is fairly recent, which kind of gives rise to, this was previously a minor, I would think. 4 lots or less minor. So this may require a minor. But I'd like to review that with, particularly with Wayne, thoughts on that.
Always trouble on Krieger Lane.
Any other question or discussion about that? We'll let Andy and Wayne take a look at it and give us our.
You know, if these lots are going back to what was originally approved, so it'd be consistent.
I believe so. I believe Wendy emailed me, so first map, but I didn't get a chance to open it. So, is there any other new business? Any old business?
They're working on golden grains.
I saw a guy up there taking the letters down.
You gotta stop and see if you can get it.
I wanted to. I saw the dumpster and I was like, do I dumpster dive? I don't
Oh,
know.
they went in the dumpster?
Do I just ask? I'm not sure where they went. But, let's see. The agenda for September 5th. We have number 1, Marie's Muse, site plan minor subdivision. 2, riser waiver of subdivision. 4, Haas site plan. 5, sole source power. And
What was 3?
3 was riser.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I think
2
you skipped-
2 is riser.
We skipped a number.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
2 is riser. 3 is.
If we do order, Haas will be the public hearing, so that may be with that one.
Okay.
Correct, then Marie's Muse tentative. Riser. Sole source tentative. And then 5 Boomhauer.
And I think we have,
They won from the floor.
from
CD.
our last meeting.
CVE.
CVE Solar, which doesn't have any extension. The only other one that I came across in my folder was Cole Lane. Do you know anything about that? Cole Lane? Oh, okay. So we'll do that one more time. Public hearing for Haas. Haas is number 1. Marie's Muse, tentative 2. Riser 3. Sole source, tentative 4. Boomhauer 5. CVE 6. Is
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.